Hello and welcome to your in-depth forecast for week commencing the 17th of January for the Sun or the Ascendant. As ever, I'm going to give you a broad overview of what to expect this week before diving deep and sharing in forensic detail for each of the 12 zodiac signs what is in store. So this week begins with a very potent full moon in the sign of Cancer. The sign of Cancer is governed by the moon. So the moon being here is, if you like, in its home birth. But this opposition with the sign of Capricorn is very marked because in Capricorn, Pluto, the planet of change, is very closely tethered to the Sun, and therefore the moon's in an opposition to Pluto as well as the Sun. When the moon and Pluto are in the mix in an opposition, that can create a polarization, and it can be quite difficult to find a balance. Now the moon's asking us to stay mindful as we punch our way towards our goals, ambitions and targets, very Capricorn energy, and very much the physical world. The Cancerian energy is reminding us that we must stay in touch with how it feels, and if something feels not so comfortable, even if it's given us some form of success or progress, just to try to reconfigure things so things are a little bit better aligned. And this energy will last for the next 2 weeks. If you'd like to know more about the full moon, you can join me for my deep dive video by seeing the link beneath this show. But all this week, Mars is actually forging a very positive link to Pluto, so we have a semi-sextile, and that's very energizing. Mars continues in the sign of Sagittarius, but there's 3 of the more draining, enervating vibe of Neptune, which really was affecting it quite badly for the previous 10 days. So I think energy can generally be a lot better. Also, Uranus has gone direct. Uranus has been in a very jagged, abrasive right angle with Saturn, and the great news is as the Sun moves on Thursday into the sign of Aquarius, the right angle between the 2 rulers of Aquarius, traditional Saturn, modern Uranus, actually stretches out to 4 degrees. Now when I do the sun sign forecast, I always take into account influences within 3-degree orb. So that's a very precise influence. So they're starting to stretch apart now, and they really have caused immense impact over the last year and given us quite a few sleepless nights, made us more agitated, perhaps seen us quite frustrated by the restrictions that may have been imposed upon us. But now things will ease a little bit. But the Sun moving into the sign of Aquarius joins up with Saturn, but also with the retreating Mercury, still in that retrograde. So the Sun moving into this area can mitigate some of the snags that Mercury in Aquarius in retrograde can create. So if there has been some tensions around friendships, or perhaps we just haven't heard from someone, perhaps we've been preoccupied with those more worldly aims and ambitions, then what the Sun's saying is that it's very important to stay joined together with others. Now as the week draws to a close, it's the Sun's turn to be in a semi-sextile, but this time with Jupiter. Jupiter, of course, has only recently left the sign of Aquarius the last 3 days of last year, so it moved back into its home zone of Pisces, but it's actually beautifully aligned to the Sun as this week draws to a close. So there may be some good news that we're not expecting. Perhaps someone we haven't heard from for some while is going to be in contact, or a good deed can come in our direction, or perhaps it's going to be us who does something more altruistic for another person. This is also a week when Venus, the planet of love, but also of loot, forges a very promising link with Uranus. If this rings a bell, it's because Venus is retreated in its retrograde to the point of reactivating its 120-degree enabling trine with the rather erratic energies of Uranus. But this is just saying to us, look, if we can think outside the box when it comes to our resources, and perhaps also our relationships, to try to enliven them with some freshness, then that's a smart thing to do. Now, if you're new to my channel, I would be honoured if you would subscribe. Please click or tap on the bell notification symbol. You can also get your free daily written horoscope fired to your device each morning by seeing the link beneath this video. Or if you'd like to order your 12-month forecast and get your character analysis based on your personal astrology, you can do so and get 30% off by seeing the link below. But please stay with me for your in-depth zodiac sign forecast. Hello Gemini, and welcome to your in-depth forecast for week commencing the 17th of January. The full moon is a straight up and down second house, 8th house polar axis for you. So the second house where Cancer is, the moon, that's about how things immediately feel, but particularly around your self-worth. Can be about your everyday spending. The sun in your 8th house along with Pluto is emphasising a powerful energy, particularly for those born later in Gemini, where there's been a quincunx between Pluto, perhaps your sun and other personal planets, which has been creating quite a lot of desire for transformation around the more material side of life, or even feeling connected or invested to others in a much more meaningful way. Because your sign is airy and because you're bright and breezy, I also think Uranus in the 12th house of your situation, particularly through its retrograde which ends on Tuesday, has created quite a lot of potential for stress, tension, irritability. By the time the sun moves into your sister air sign of Aquarius on Thursday, joining with your ruler Mercury despite its retreat, and also the rather stabilising Saturn, which does get an awfully bad astro press, you can start to think about how you can widen your horizons in a way which benefits your finances, but you really will do your research, so your due diligence will get easier to do as this week goes on. There is still an activity with Uranus, it's linking with Venus, and I think this is kind of saying to you, if you wake up in the middle of the night and sit up in bed and think, oh my word, what a brilliant idea, don't discount light bulb moments like that, because your inspiration could be well founded. You could be instinctively in touch with a developing trend and picking up on it, and maybe able to reach people with your unique take really quite successfully. Also this week, as the week draws to a close, of course, we do have Saturn and Uranus starting to stretch out 4 degrees apart. That's something we can all feel a sense of relief for, particularly I feel Gemini, because the last year has seen a lot of grating and grinding on that nervous system, particularly if you're wanting to change something to improve your financial stability in particular, or you wanted to change something to improve a sense of connection, or even an intimate opportunity. Maybe there has been some psychological limitations and things have seemed almost amplified. Whatever difficulties we all have, they just seemed to have been a bit bigger over this last year. But I think by the end of this week, things will start to look a lot brighter indeed.